WOCPSCN. We're so glad that you could join us today. If you are a returning participant or joining us for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're ecstatic about our ever-growing global nonprofit organization in partnership with our other global organizations for the benefits of generations of girls and women to come. Our mission is to present active approaches for community development and social economic sustainability. Back in 2009, when our founder and I had discussed on how we would help young women of all social economic levels and ages, our hearts were set on mentoring girls and women across the spectrum. As we experienced our pains of domestic violence and the effects on families, our signature event was born, Walking in Silence for the Silence, Domestic Violence Solidarity Walk. Due to my strong love of sports and basketball in particular, we created Urban Gurl, Suburban Swurls, dedicated to the education regarding all elements of sports, including health, advancement, and growth for girls and women in sports. We are so excited about this discussion today as we talk about an extremely important issue about mental health for girls and women in sports with our panel. Again, I would like to welcome you to the conversation today, and let's continue to have this very important conversation, not just today, but every day. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to our CEO and founder, Loretta Green Williams.
Thank you so much, Ronnie, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being with us. I am Loretta Green Williams, founding director for Women of Concern Professionals and Strategic Conscious Networking. And on behalf of our board of trustees, we just want to thank you for attending. We want to thank you for your participation and your interest. Now, the wonderful thing about WOCPSCN, we help support organizations globally. We encourage you to consider a level of membership with us. Your membership allows you to duplicate our initiatives that are based on your community goals. Now, WOCPSCN's initiatives and events, we continue to enhance our commitment towards community sustainability, health, and education through our signature organizations. Like Ronnie mentioned, we have the Walking in Silence for the Silence Domestic Violence Solidarity Walk. It takes place the first Saturday of each November. We have campaigns on diabetes. We have our Jazzy Jays, which we have our annual event next month for International Women's Month. And we're excited about that. I'd like to introduce you one of our board members that is with us today, Dr. Christine Thorpe, who is a very intricate component of this organization and actually was one of the first persons who expressed an interest in our organization when we started in 2009 on LinkedIn. Hi, Dr. Christine, do you want to say a few words very quickly?
Thank you, Ms. Lowe, and good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, everyone. So glad to always support Women of Concern Professionals and Ms. Lowe. The efforts that we're doing for women and girls, I think, are extremely important. As a health educator, someone with a public health background who continues to do this work on a day-to-day, it brings me joy to support these efforts because I know what it's like to be a young girl growing up and in need of that support from community, and to grow into a woman now to be able to work alongside dynamic women like Ronnie, like Ms. Lowe. I'm excited, and the other board members. So thank you always for the support and the encouragement, as well as all of the efforts to make everything we do come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tina. So I'd like to introduce to you a very dear lady, and I feel like she and I have known each other for years, Tina Greenbaum. Tina was gracious enough to participate with us last year during our Jazzy Jays, and She was so impressed with the work that we were accomplishing that she just became a mentoring friend. And we are so excited that she is going to be our moderator today. Now, Tina is a licensed psychotherapist and sports psychology consultant. Her ability to give high-performing executives the skills they need to work within any corporate culture has made Tina the #1 optimum performance specialist in California. Now, she's the founder and CEO of Mastery Under Pressure, which is a management coaching program for high-performing executives. Tina, thank you for being with us, and take it away.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm so delighted to be here and to meet all your fabulous speakers and guests. So I'm asked to read this topic of discussion, which is, excuse me, about maladaptive perfectionism, girls and women in sports mental health. So according to Ray Aranda for Long Island Psychological Consulting, the pressure of women to gain muscle in training, but stay thin, to uphold a standard of beauty outside of sports is irreconcilable. Dr. Aranda indicates that according to the American Psychiatric Association, women are nearly twice as likely as men to develop depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. Adding athletic burnout is a current epidemic among all ages, but in particular, it is highest among female athletes who exhibit maladaptive perfectionism. Maladaptive perfectionism refers to the rigid standards and unrealistically high expectations that one places upon herself. With the unpredictability of sport, being unable to cope with challenges or changes that can lead to excessive stress and in turn, burnout. From the pressure of training to social somatic norms, we will discuss how maladaptive perfectionism affects the mental health of girls and women in sport. So, so that's a big mouthful. And just as one thing that's about my background is for the first 15 years of my work, I worked with women with eating disorders. So I'm really, really familiar with this subject and so delighted to be here.
About gender and more about the craft of refereeing. However, even to this day, the women coming up still believe that their gender requires them to work harder and be better. Officiating is an unforgiving endeavor because a referee's success is based on being right, and the general population's expectation is for referees to be perfect. It takes thick skin to do the job. You have to find a peace within yourself when you aren't perfect. Learning to deal with my own mistakes was hard. Referees are athletes competing against the tape, as we say. We watch our film over and over of our games, and we're hard on ourselves when we make mistakes. It's not unlike an athlete who watches a video of a free throw or a layup they missed over and over again, eager to get back out there and redeem themselves. I had the privilege of being mentored by the likes of Hall of Famers, June Courteau, Sally Bell, Patty Broderick, and others. They pulled me and other women up with them and demonstrated a strong work ethic and commitment. Having mentors to help me process the highs and lows, the disappointments, helped me maintain perspective on my career. These women had achieved so many great things, conference championships, multiple Final Fours, the Olympics, yet they were willing to share their own failures, which in turn helped me to realize that it's okay to make mistakes. All referees want to be chosen for championships, for the Final Four, the WNBA finals, the Olympics. For me, the road to each of these achievements came with bumps and bruises and enormous stress and angst. If you consider that only 3 referees can work any given finals or championship, every referee who is deserving doesn't necessarily get to work these games. You can be excellent and not achieve those milestones. One of my colleagues struggled with a number of mental health issues that were exacerbated by the lows of officiating. She took her life less than 10 years ago. While this is certainly an extreme, it does illustrate the damage that putting undue and unrealistic pressure on ourselves can have. In my current role as Senior Director of WNBA Referee Performance and Development, I now find myself in a position to help the next generation cope with the highs and lows of their careers. One of the things that has changed significantly since my coming up years is that many of our referees have not had other professional careers outside of refereeing. A lot of them start refereeing while they're in college through their intramural programs. They're making officiating a vocation much earlier than my generation did. Personally, I found that my officiating was enhanced by my work in higher ed administration, and it's a trend in our profession that I'm quite interested in. Helping young referees understand that their value and worth as a person is not tantamount to their achievements or shortcomings on the basketball court is something I enjoy. They may not necessarily see themselves in me, but I see myself in them. Looking back on my own experiences, I hope will help me to both mentor and lead the next generation of referees. My role is twofold. I hold our staff accountable to the performance standards while also helping to develop their skills. We hold our referees to a standard of excellence, not perfection. And I believe this can be done with empathy. Using the model of radical candor, I can deliver feedback to my staff that is focused on their behavior and actions rather than attaching my critique to them as a person or individual. I hope that when I separate their actions from who they are as a person, that they can do the same for themselves. I've enjoyed sharing some of my journey with you, and I look forward to more conversation later in the program. Thanks so much.
Let's give her a big round of applause. I think we can do that. That was fabulous, Sue. I want to hear more. That was just a little touch of all the amazing experiences, both positive and challenging. I won't even call them negative, but mostly challenging, right? And I think you touched on so many of the items and pieces that in every profession, but not as many are on national TV or international or global TV at the same time. So
very true.
Fabulous. So we're going to get on with the next, and we'll hopefully have time for conversation and questions. And next up is our Ronnie Savage, who introduced herself a little bit before, and she's the COO of the organization. This organization, is that correct? Yes. Correct. And I can never get all the words out at one time. The way Loretta goes, of this organization and a basketball official currently, correct?
Correct.
Right? She was the director of athletic fundraising at North Carolina A&T State University, and she started reffing on the boys. All right, take it away, Ronnie. Let us hear from you. Fabulous.
Oh, good morning, everyone. I like to have a passion and a love for basketball. So I started playing basketball with my brothers as a little girl, and we had a basketball hoop in our front yard. And I was the only girl out there because my sisters, they did not like sports at all. So they sat on the sidelines, but I was the rough and tough girl that would go to the park with them every single day. And we would play basketball. My mother would come out and take the basketball from us because we would try to play into the night. So basketball was my passion. Then after having a son, and when he was about 7, he came to me and asked me to coach his basketball team. And I thought, I know nothing about coaching, but I'll try. So I went to the director of the program and said, I would like to help coach. I could be an assistant. And they said, yeah, okay. But when it came down to it and they didn't have enough coaches, they said, we need you to be the head coach. And can you have 2 teams? And these, mind you, are boys with fathers who looked at me as if I was from Mars, trying to, what was I doing out there trying to coach boys basketball? So instead, I'm always up for a challenge. So instead of taking it in a negative way, I start reading everything that I could read about coaching, because I knew how to play, but I did not know how to coach. So I did that for 10 years. And as my son moved up, I moved up. I met Violet Palmer at the Inglewood YMCA, and she was the only woman that I knew besides myself that was on the boys, doing boys basketball. So she was like my role model, and I wanted to referee, but being a single mom at the time, I didn't want to leave my son and be with him at every step of the way of his basketball career, because that's what he wanted to do. In '97, I was called to referee. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, but everybody thought, hey, you just came off a win state championship team, which my son's team in San Mateo had won state, or not one state, but we were a runner-up in state. So they felt like I shouldn't leave basketball because my son was graduating, that I should start refereeing. So I started refereeing, and I started on the boys' side because I only knew the boys' side of basketball at the time. That's what I had done for 10 years. So I started on the boys' side. I had some great mentors in San Francisco unit that helped me and guided me. I think at the time we might have had 3 women in our unit in '97. And I, like Sue, was told, our assigner was told, don't put a woman on my game because women don't know boys basketball. And my assigner was like, sorry, this is what you're gonna get. And that was challenging for me because like Sue said, we have to be better than the men. We have to know our rules to the page number. I mean, because these coaches will push you and try to challenge you all along the way. So I even, when I was in grad school, wrote my master paper regarding women and basketball officiating and the glass ceiling, and how could we crack it? How could we break it? How could we get to the next level? Anita Ortega and Violet were so instrumental with helping me and being open to me interviewing them for this very important process, because I would go to camps and they would say, now, mind you, I never weighed over probably between 125 and 127, but they would tell me, you need to lose about 5 pounds. You're not thin enough. But I needed to be athletic enough to get up and down the court. So it was like, well, I need to lose 5 pounds. I thought that was pretty thin or in good shape, but you're told that you need to be strong to get up and down the court, yet and still you need to look a certain way and be very thin and glamorous. And it was just, I couldn't figure out how to do both. But I have refereed, like Sue, for a number of years. I'm in my 26th year. I've gone all the way up to Division II. So I've refereed in the South, in Greensboro, North Carolina, in Richmond, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Boston, Massachusetts, and in California, both Northern and Southern California. At one time, I was the director of And I was the first woman director of athletic fundraising, which is a whole nother conversation about being a woman and trying to raise money for men's sports because they want to shake hands with a man. I don't understand that. But anyway, it's sometimes so hard for us as women to be on the officiating side of the sport where it involves men because they don't think that we can do our job. As Sue had mentioned before, we are the only profession that they think that we should be perfect going in and then go up from there. I tell athletes, I joke with the males that I referee right now because I do a men's league, and they'll say, "Hey, ref, you missed that call." And I'll say to them, "Did you make every basket that you shot?" And they're like, I said, "Same here. So you make some mistakes. I might have missed one. You know, I'll try to get the next one, but I'm not perfect, just like you're not perfect." So it's one of these things that it's very hard, especially when you're a woman. You have to know all your rules. You have to be super sharp. You have to almost walk on water to do what we do and be a woman, because they won't say things. And I've seen this over the years. You're working with a male, even on a girl's game, and they will not say the coaches won't say anything to the male officials, but they'll come straight to you and say, "Hey, ref, what about this?" And you're like, okay. And you're thinking in your head, first of all, that wasn't my area. That wasn't my call. So why are you addressing me? But I'm the woman on the court, especially if you're on a boys game or boys high school game, or when I was in Northern California, I did men's JC. They immediately will come to the woman thinking that if you're not perfect, why are you here? So yeah, this is what we face in officiating today. I'm so glad to see women on the football field, on the men's lacrosse games, on the men's basketball game. I have a young lady that I know that came up. I've known her since she was 11 years old, and now she's in the NBA. Her name is Danielle Scott, and I'm so proud of her. I've seen her grow up and grow up in her officiating and just grow up in life. And she's a wonderful example of women can do this, you know, and women of color can do it as well. We just need the opportunities. We need the mentors. We need the support, you know, and we need to not be held to look like a certain way if we're athletic and we're muscular and we hit the gym or whatever we do to stay in shape, because you can't do what we do and be healthy and have an eating disorder. You just can't do it because your body won't let you do it. Or you won't do it for very long if you're going through all this back and forth and just trying to look like a model and be an athlete. It just doesn't work in the same vein. So I agree with Sue. I've been, and Sue, believe me, I've seen you on the court many of times, and I applaud you for what you did and be a trailblazer for the rest of us that came up behind you, because I started in '97. And so if it wasn't for officials like you to lead the way and open the door for the rest of us to come in, it would be very hard. But we need to also make sure we keep that door open and pull through some more qualified and women that are ready to go and able to go, and not put them in that box. We gotta break that box open. But thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And again, I'm going to make sure that I'm not on mute, right? I'm not on mute. Thank you so much, Ronnie, and both of you. And, you know, I'm thinking, as I'm sure Loretta and all of us are thinking, what you're talking about is so, so, so important. And hopefully, you know, with the replay, because you are inspirations to, honestly, every woman behind you, black, green, purple, whatever, and all the issues that women face, body image and, you know, perfectionism, and that are so rampant in high achievers, just in general. So thank you, both of you. And now we're going to hear from Larissa, which I'm sure is going to be just as juicy and wonderful. So let me tell you a little bit about Larissa. About 10 years ago, in her role as a teacher, parent, and a coach, she observed a dramatic increase in unwanted and even violent behavior in children. She saw a possible link between this negative behavior and the increase in children's cell phone use. This inspired her to start a research proposal to investigate the link further. In preliminary interviews with school administrators, teachers, and early childhood educators, there was a resounding consensus indicating a negative change in children's behavior since the introduction of handheld devices in the classroom and at home. Her focus quickly expanded to include how parents balance and monitor their children's use of cell phones and devices. Today, this negative violent behavior is still occurring, as we can see, and becoming increasingly worse. She fears that if parents don't heed the medical guidelines, children will be unteachable in the classroom. So I'm going to leave it to you. She's also the mom of 3 kids who are growing up in this new tech era. So we'd love to hear any great advice that you have to parents. She coaches volleyball and loves all sports and likes to see children being more athletic, active, finding hobbies, and enjoying life. She's concerned about the future of all children, their mental health, and the impact this collectively has on society. So we welcome you, Larissa. Thank you so much for being here. We're delighted.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I wish I could see everybody. I'm going to share my screen. I hope that this works. The other day it didn't. So we're going to go with that. But hopefully you can see it here.
Yes.
Let me just go back a bit. Well, thank you, Tina, for that introduction, and what we've really grafted into with cell phone and digital wellness that is a direct link to our mental wellness. So when I see 1,000 athletes that are trying out for a volleyball team, let's say, the one difference that I do notice when I get them down to the last 50, because they're all about the same, right? At 16 years old, we're noticing that there's a distinct drop off in participation in sports at 16 years old. Now, the newest statistic that startled me about 4 months ago was that 26% of girls, 22% boys are dropping out of sports every year since the invention and creation of the phone in 2007. Okay. This is a startling statistic as we go forward, because the physical education system here in Canada is not prepared for this, but it is in Europe. They're already set up to have children value their sports and educate them and what they put their values on. So I'm going to talk to a couple of different topics for young girls to empower them, to give them tips, some mental skills, and show them why we need to focus on empowering them with mental skills, emotional intelligence, and coping mechanisms, because the average 16-year-old has actually fallen under the standards. So we really want to see that improve, because as I said, we'll revisit that 1,000 athletes I see. Well, I get it to the top, maybe the top 50. They're all about the same. And then I actually do a little bit of mental skills with them, and I do a little bit of mental drills with them. And I see who's sociable, who's adaptable, who's friendly, who's focused. And no matter what, the girls that have the healthiest habits that I look at are the girls that are most equipped. They are disciplined, and they can move through anything. Oh yeah, practice is not here today, it's over here today, girls. All right, let's go. Other girls get frantic. right? That adaptability comes through emotional intelligence. And now, especially with the pandemic, we're seeing kids who are very afraid to engage, right? But this is all before COVID. So I want to thank you for having me here today with all of you. I can't wait to meet all of you. I guess Loretta's, we're going to have lunch one day soon. I can come down there. I'm so proud to be a part of this discussion and contribute to the female canon of empowering women in sports. So I want to get to a couple of different topics today. And one of them is, let's look at our mental health statistics. So where did I draw my information from? Well, I drew it from the Canadian, American, and British and Australian Pediatric Associations, who I'm part of their societies. So I get a lot of their information and I put all these numbers together, and this is what we come out with. But where does my background fit into this? Well, I have been an athlete all my life. I've been a coach the majority of my life till probably the last couple of years, because my kids now are at higher levels and mom's got to drive them, right? So, and my kids are everywhere. They're very different ages. So I have 18, 15, who looks like he's 6'3" and a full grown man. I got a little guy who's about 10 and he's in hockey. They're all in swimming and basketball and football and everything. So I want them to be busy, and that's our choice, but that's also our value system, right? So we just encourage them to find a sport they love and roll with it. And now we're kind of seeing as they age, they kind of change sports, right? Naturally. So where does my background? Well, my background has always been with children, behavior, working with children with behavioral issues. I do educational consulting. So I go into a school and I'll help that school improve its suspension rate and get parent engagement. We have parent engagement in courses to teach and educate parents with. I come in and I now coach coaches, but my newest game is I have a parenting website, iparentgen.com, that helps schools and families balance technology. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see the launch of the Mental Game Academy, which is an academy online that I've created as a hybrid school for these athletes to get these psychological skills back up to where they should be. And I'm really proud of this because it's amazing to see how many men in high up coaching positions are looking at this as, oh yeah, we have problems. We need to look at this. So I'm really proud of the way this is going, and I'm really hopeful that this is going to continue. Well, we're here today because the Mental Game Academy is about empowering the girls and empowering them to be happy, teachable, coachable, and feel invincible. That invincibility comes with teaching them empowerment skills. So really what that is: self-talk, how to stop self-talk. Emotional intelligence takes 5 mastery steps. I still don't believe I'm a master, and I've been studying it for 25 years. I believe I'm close. Some days when the kids leave their stuff on the stairs and don't take it up, you know, you're there, but you have your self-regulation, right? Now, something that has contributed to this is that we are observing a very different athlete, boy or girl. They are behind psychologically. They are behind emotionally. The psychiatrists, the pediatricians are saying that children at 16 are behind in maturation and their ability to cognitively think because they've been on a phone for 12,000 to 15,000 hours by the age of 16. I don't know about you, but at 16, I barely knew how to use the internet, and we barely had the internet in our school. And I was always outside playing, and we were socializing. And our brains, Dr. John Hutton says that our brains need to talk more than watch. And that's really true when we see that the teachers are seeing a lack of vocabulary and a lack of language skills in children already at the age of 4. They're behind by 2 years. So what are we going to do? Well, I'm happy about this because there are solutions, and we are seeing this in their development. So our academy is helping athletes of all areas, but I want to also take into consideration that if we're less equipped as a human being, because I want to be equipped and I want my children to be equipped with mental skills, and I call them a toolbox. I want to give my kids 20 to 30, 40 tools in their toolbox so that when they're in this situation, or my athletes are in these situations, they know how to handle themselves. They know what's going on with confidence, and they do it with diplomacy. They do it in fairness. They do it because they're a captain. They're taking that empathetic initiative when someone's having a bad day. We're not aware of that as much anymore because children have been raised to watch videos and not really watch the behavior of what's going on in the video. So if we want our athletes and young girls to excel, and our coaches, we have to give effort and focus into their mental game. I'm here to help the kids outwit, outlast, and outplay. But we're fighting with these obstacles right now with refs. They're leaving in droves here in Canada. In the US, there's refs in Chicago didn't show up yesterday. Basketball, football, not so much in volleyball and other sort of non-contact sports, which is very interesting. It seems to be the high contact sports with the high stress and competitive levels. The parents are causing and driving a lot of the coaches and refs out. So when you were speaking just before, Romy, I couldn't believe what you were saying. I'm really on your page with that. It's a struggle as a woman too. But by the age of 13, even children are quitting sports. And with the advancement of technology, it seems like every kid wants to go out and get more and more tech, but it actually does more and more damage. How do we stop it? How do we prevent it? How do we work with it? Well, let's look at what it's doing first, right? So science will look at what it's doing. If a child is on a phone for 4 to 6 hours a day, which all those 4 pediatric associations had mentioned, actually the American Pediatric Association said that children were on their phone for 8 to 12 hours a day. I'm like, how do you eat? When do you get up? Like, how do you go to school? I don't know when they're fitting this in. So what we realize is that they're not going to bed. They're staying up past 12. And the NCAA, I was just speaking with someone there, and they're putting millions of dollars into sleep studies and into gaming and phone studies right now. So this is really becoming quite an epidemic, and it was one before COVID. Phone use is limiting socialization, and most of all, our critical thinking skills. We don't know how to problem solve anymore because we just have to go to our phone and ask it what to do. We're actually using, I think I forgot the stat, but 53% less of our brain capacity and use, which is an astounding stat. The more we use our brain, we actually help bear off dementia and whatnot. And we actually are happier human beings the more we talk. Phone use is actually decreasing our mental toughness, which is resilience. We're seeing less coping techniques, which are definitely needed in sports. I can tell you that I had an athlete just a year ago in a high pressure game in a playoff. She broke down on the court. Broke down. And we had to really work with that. And I had to put someone else in, and that's what we have to do. But I prepared my athletes for that. I teach them how to reset. I teach them how to refocus. We teach them how to visualize. We teach them how to meditate. We have to teach them how to be away from their phones. And that's really, really important as adults too, because adults won't be part of this, I want to say, journey with the child unless they're on the same boat and journey with us. So what steps are we taking to stop people from quitting, and coaches and athletes? Well, we have to educate. We have to educate the parents. We have to educate the coaches, and we have to educate the athletes. If we just do one, then it doesn't work. We have to do all 3. And I'm really happy to say that I'm really seeing a lot of openness for us to come in and help train the coaches in this new way of, I want to say, skill set to even reach these new kids who don't have these skills. The kids are ahead of coaches right now by 10 years, unless you're a younger coach and you're already quite a well-adapted, emotionally intelligent coach. But in general, the majority of coaches are now behind this digitally raised athlete. Now we take them through, and I really like this saying, it's called, when you scroll, it takes a toll. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that if I do go onto social media, which is, I never go on personally, actually, it's kind of funny. I'm on for work and I go off. And I give myself a time limit of 3 minutes. I set a timer for myself because I found that all I see, and 9 out of every 10 times a person checks their phone, it's negative. So why are we checking our phones? Why are our children checking their phones? It's because they're designed to be addictive. They're designed to notify you. They're designed for you to keep coming back. The emergency medicine, my husband's an emergency physician. He had 3 girls come in the other night, all upset that people weren't liking their photos on Instagram. The parents brought them in to the emergency room because one didn't like her dress. So the parent was very concerned about that. Well, my daughter's sad. My husband said, this is not a phone issue. This is a connection and a communication issue with your child. You have to empower your child to feel confident. This starts at home. And I have to say, yes, they're right. It's about parents limiting and educating them about social media. So we have courses all about social media and how to actually, for our athletes looking for scholarships, we have lots of courses that help look at an athlete's professional Instagram or a professional website to help them, because you can't have inappropriate photos. You can't be saying inappropriate things. And now children, these athletes, think they can say anything and not be held accountable. So it's a dangerous, dangerous territory. Addiction rates of phones run anywhere between 85%. More boys are addicted to gaming than girls. And gaming actually is the worst between the ages of 18 and 25, which is something I learned from an expert here in Canada. Now, we are seeing anxiety on the rise. We're seeing girls that are ashamed of their bodies, doubting themselves, trying to be popular, doing different things online. And this is being done on Teams and cyberbullying on Teams and social media. So this is something that we need to address, and coaches can start off the seasons right away with boundaries and expectations of that. But it's really important to examine and talk about what we're saying online to our teammates is really important to think about. You can't just come off a really bad loss and then go back onto your team app and say, you're a loser, you lost that game for us, because that's what these kids are doing. And it actually is driving kids to leave sports because they can't cope with these thoughts and these texts and these comments. They don't have enough confidence and emotional intelligence to be able to be aware of what's going on. So the Mental Game Academy is my online school. And what we do is it's a hybrid. So I help them apply all the theory, and of course, all my other amazing teammates out here. And we help them build the resilience, build their confidence, balance their phone use, and actually learn how to connect more with their family and their friends and their coaches. Because the more we're connected, the more we feel a bond with someone, the actually more grounded and happier we are. And we actually see, if you want to see it here in sort of an example, the more we increase phone use, the more we see mental health issues. But if we decrease phone use, the better our mental health issues become. So it's really quite interesting, but you can't have those unless you're equipping them with these tools. So here at the Academy, and I am very happy to say that all the young girls that are involved with this association are going to receive a free $400 access to our Academy. And we are here to empower them with these mental skills, the leadership, the introspective leadership, which can't be mastered until you have the self-talk, emotional intelligence, how to leverage your mistakes, how to meditate, teaching them how to have their habits all laid out for them. We do it all for them. And the great thing about it is they get a certificate so they can go and use it towards a job. Our SHARP program, we give them letters of reference towards their scholarships for NCAA or wherever they're going. Now, what do these courses look like? We have anything from the self-talk, introspective, the team IQ, but I want to focus on this slide on I ams. The more we tell our children from the age 4 and up, even younger, how to do their morning mantras and their evening mantras, even their gratitude lists, the more we talk to ourselves, because we talk to ourselves more in our life actually than anyone else, So we want to have a really good relationship, right, with ourselves, because we are the ones that determine our mental health, and we're the ones that determine our own happiness. So we started off experimenting with different teams, and we started to get little children to do their IMs. I am smart. I am resourceful. I am fast. I am strong. I am a cheetah. And we evolve these mantras to older children. I am resourceful. I am empathetic. I am self-aware. I will learn to balance. And we have these growing mantras now, and these sayings that kids are now saying to themselves, and we're teaching them how to talk, because it's almost like working a muscle in our brain. The more we use it, the better and happier they're actually going to become. It's really quite amazing. The more these little kids started off really nervous in these high pressure teams, the more they've relaxed, and these kids are fired up. They're almost empowered. It's almost like giving them a medicine bottle of pills and saying, here, but really it is all about their mindset. Part of the introductory program and the SHARP program that the girls would learn, we teach them how to focus. Coaches today, when I interview them, say, I can't get my girls or my athletes to focus. Well, we're going to do visualization, and we call it memory loci techniques to help kids focus. Also, it's really important for coaches to gather all the phones in a book slot, put all the phones in a book slot before a practice or game, so the kids can get in the work mindset. In education, if education is allowing a phone, the kids aren't focusing on a work mindset. So it's actually a little bit harder to coach because parents aren't managing the phones at home. Education can't manage the phones at home, even though the schools that are banning phones are seeing a huge impact in mental health, and they're regaining their happiness, and participation rates, again, they're going up. We teach the kids how to go to the coach and ask for feedback. That is one of the concerns of coaches today. Every time I give a child criticism, they're shutting down. We help a child want to seek it, grow it, know it, and do it daily to themselves. It's about basically setting your mindset to it and doing these little routines in your head daily. Now, just to sort of finish off, I did start with a statistic about 26% of girls are dropping out of sports each year. I want to say that's varied across every sport, and that's not just competitive. That's also just house league. It's other little sports, but that's a general statistic here, which is very mind-blowing considering it seems to be dropping at this rate. What I want to do for young ladies, women, and coaches is to be able to empower them. I want them to outwit, outplay, and outlast their opponents. And it's funny because the teams that actually we have that are the girls teams, they're actually outplaying boys teams, almost their same age level, which you can't see me, but I'm doing a dance because it's amazing that these girls are just feeling almost like they're just stronger. And that's what I want them to feel. It takes time. These skills don't happen overnight. No life skills do. We still empower coaches with the same training, and we offer all of these to coaches as well. I do it corporately. I really found that even women in the corporate world that we teach these courses to, emotional intelligence and self-talk and introspective leadership is actually a fairly dynamic course. It helps with the communication. It's really helping teach themselves and their families, and it's sort of spreading, which is kind of really nice and infectious to see. So we do come in and teach the coaches. We are speaking to various academies. We are kind of growing at the moment, and we have barely even launched, and I'm so excited because I think we're really filling a need. We want to see parents also be better supported, and actually parents have a job to do. Their job is to support their coach. Their job is to support their athlete. And I really want to help improve athletic culture for kids so that we can keep sports competitive and that we can keep referees coming. We have parent engagement courses that we are making mandatory as part of associations and registration fees, because the association that breeds the right culture for success is the happiest culture. And that's really important. When everybody's happy there, you'll find that, and as I've been around internationally, I've seen that the associations that are adapting these courses for parenting online registration made mandatory, they are seeing a decrease in refs leaving. They are seeing a decrease in coaches leaving. They are seeing a decrease in the problems that parents are causing. So we're really finding that making them mandatory, and I know that's a tough word to hear right now during the pandemic and everything, so, but it is really helping to educate everyone. And I think education's a freedom too. Education is definitely something we all can have. And I want to make it available to anyone. How does this benefit when we teach parents all of these techniques? Everything gets better. I don't have a slide that can fit everything here. It helps coaches programs. It keeps coaches in, it keeps refs in. You're going to see so many different forms of beautiful things happening. Everything will be much better when the parents are on the child and the coach's side. So thank you today for having me. I want to make sure that all young girls can be equipped with the toolbox they need for life. This isn't just about the athlete. This is about the person first, and then the athlete. If an athlete doesn't have a healthy mindset, they can't perform well. We've seen Simone Biles do it. We know we have several Olympians at the Olympics that have bowed out and don't want to be part of different events and different professional athletes. If their mindset isn't in it and something's on their mind and they're not performing well, it actually will give them a higher risk of injury, a career-ending injury. We have to respect that. And I'm really glad to be part of this conversation today. So thank you so much, everybody, for having me.
Wow. Everybody just take a deep breath. Woo! Awesome. Larissa, you've nailed it. Really.
Oh.
Thank you, dearest.
You're welcome.
I've been in this field, Larissa, for 38 years, and my kids were, one of them was an elite athlete, played up, you know, I've been through the whole thing professionally, personally.
Yeah.
My program, Mastery Under Pressure, was started for the same reason. It's like, you can tell me about your sister, your mother, but you don't have skills.
We're lacking them. Our whole society's lacking them, right?
Yeah, so I'm so thrilled. We'll have to chat again, but really, really thank you for the work that you're doing. It's really impressive and beautiful. So I'm excited. Okay, so I do believe that we can go to our Q&A conversation. They were having trouble getting Natoya's video up. It wasn't, the sound wasn't working, if that's what I'm understanding, Loretta.
Yes.
Right. And so take it away, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. So I want to thank everyone for the powerful conversation. And there's something that's very critical that I think that as we continue this discourse that we can talk about today, the aspect of the girl, woman transitioning into sports based on the premise of what society expects her to do and the variables that she must address to enter that space. I think that that is a theme I'm hearing. Yep. It's such an issue. Larisha, you addressed it when it comes to the phones. Sue, you addressed it from your personal perspective. Ronnie, you addressed it from your professional perspective. Tina, you even addressed it because you've been doing this for so long. So there's a theme with this discourse. So let's kind of open that up and let's see how we can enhance that conversation. Tina, I want to start with you because you were in the foregrounds long when all this started. What got you engaged in this discourse?
Well, it was kind of what I said. My first 15 years of work was working with women with eating disorders. And like any high achieving person, I wanted to be successful. And I just wasn't being successful. I mean, talking. So my traditional psychotherapy training, which, you know, again, way back then, it was that we would sit and listen. And I said, this is ridiculous. I'm a teacher, you know, really, that's my nature. Why would I know this stuff and you don't? So I started really kind of teaching these skills. And then I have 3 sons that are one of which went all the way up into Division I soccer, and the other played college also. And so very competitive, high, you know, elite, and being involved in all that stuff as a parent, looking at the coaches, looking at the parents, looking at the kids, and building this level of resilience. And again, I think you hit it right on the head. Larissa, at 16, I would see that, because my son played soccer from the time he was 3, and he was one of these little gifted athletes, and they all kind of came up together. And then around 16, those kids that really had that inner strength, really, not only desire, but be able to deal with all the ups and downs, they're the ones that really kind of went on to national teams and so on. So
And do you think that that's because you feel that level at that age, either if they're equipped, they can move on. If they're not, we're seeing them just drop off at much earlier and earlier ages.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, my son, my youngest son, who was that elite athlete, just left a teaching job where it was so horrible.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He just couldn't function. You know, the disrespect, the phones, you know, I mean, it was just, you know, a high achieving person, and he wasn't being successful at all, just by himself with no union.
Yeah, you feel isolated. Many teachers are very frustrated with the phones and the ability to not even be able to discipline a kid, even though they need it, because then the parent is on you. So we really have to either set value systems in education, and I think we all need to revisit that. And that's where education in the future is going to base off that fundamental value system.
Absolutely. So
Wow.
yes, and yes, and yes, all of it.
I hear you.
And I think the thing that's exciting is coming up with solutions and moving forward, because we can bitch and complain about how bad it is, but we've got to have solutions. So all of you are really kind of on the forefront of that.
Absolutely. I want to take another side to this too, is my background is in fitness. And so I started back in the days when we had the high impact and Elaine Powers and, you know, yeah, I go back there. That's where I go.
No, but I know it. So
yeah, right. That's even scarier, right? But what is really interesting from my perspective is the incorporation of the dance fitness into the aspects of bodybuilding, and that incorporation, and women bodies that now were acceptable because they were large. And then how it transitioned to no longer did they accept bodybuilders, but they had to be fitness professionals. So there was a space in our society where a woman that had enhanced muscle, who enjoyed that was no longer an acceptable space. So from your perspective, colleagues, how did you see that transition might have happening, you personally or within your framing of discourse as you've moved through the decades? Good question. I know.
No,
I'll
I'm
come
thinking
up with
I've always seen it as women have to be thinner to be more successful.
Yeah.
I that's my feeling. As a coach, as a human being, I was just always raised to, you have to take care of yourself, self-respect. It wasn't self-love. There was no my parents didn't know those words, right? Or they're like, you must respect your body, what your food you eat, your sleep, you have to fuel it. And I think it stemmed because, well, there was a lot of like heart disease in our family, so my parents were always, but I think it's about embracing the fitness. It's about embracing fitness and finding, you don't have to be an elite athlete, but find something that you like. Like, do you like archery? Like, I'm trying to get kids in our academy, not only, yeah, you're an elite athlete, but I want you to go out and find a hobby and feel good about what you're doing. And yeah, balance your food and balance your water intake, because water is huge. And now I just interviewed someone about sugar addiction. Oh my gosh. Sugar addiction, by 2040, 70% of our children will be obese, is what they said.
Wow.
So I think we need to look at that as a fitness question. How are we in education, or our organizations going to help that?
Yes. I would also like to introduce Yvette Perry. She is instructional chair of the basketball unit that Ronnie is a part of. Yvette, would you introduce yourself, please, and give us a few words?
Yes, good morning. Good morning, is West Coast side. Good morning, everyone. That's an interesting question and a topic that I've been personally dealing with. This is my 21st year as a basketball official. I do high school, college, college, and men's ABA. I am not the typical, like you guys mentioned, being thinner is more successful. I'm 5'10", 240, 247. I played pro ball at 220 pounds. So I've never been a little girl. So, but I'm built like an athlete. However, I've been successful in the officiating world because of my people skills, relationship skills, communication skills, my knowledge, rules knowledge. I'm a rules interpreter. And coaches love me. They love to see me coming. They call me for everything. And I have coaches as friends. We hang out. But the state or the powers that be will not let me go to a final or championship game because I don't fit the template of what they want as a female official on the floor.
How
And
are you?
and first it was it was depressing for my first 5 to 7 years maybe. But after that, I said, I don't care what they say about how I look. They can't take my mind. They can't take my education, my knowledge, and what I bring to the table. All my little cute girls now, all the ones who do fit the template, I specifically, Ronnie helps me with this too. We train them about the interpersonal skills, how to communicate with coaches, how to be better decision makers on the court. They don't come with that package. So some of us, and I'm still officiating, 51 years old, still on the court. Coaches still request me, and I have to appreciate that. I have to embrace that, and I do, and I love it. And it's hard to come off the court because of it. I love my relationships. I love talking to female coaches and helping them be better with their girls. I go to practices. I do Zoom calls. I want to encourage female athletes to become officials at some point because we're getting old. We can't stay on the court forever. So, but I want this to still evolve. So yes, I've been dealing with that topic for years, and I'm good now though.
Oh, good for you, my sister. All right. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So are there any more comments before we close out? Well, before we go to that, Tina, thank you so much. You were a wonderful moderator.
Thank you.
Sue, Marisha, Ronnie, Yvette.
Yay, everyone. Thank you.
As you can see, I'm a silly. Yes, I am. Yes. Well, let's get past that because I am. But anyone else want to add additional comments before we close out?
What I love to do, Loretta, at the end of one of these things is just ask everybody for a takeaway.
Okay.
Because then we just kind of hear what pops out and then what people kind of leave with. I think it's so. I'm going to go with you, Loretta. What's your takeaway?
I'm glad you said that because I was going to start anyway. So my takeaway is I see the importance and the impact of this conversation go to the next level. So my whole life, I always say, oh, really? And then my response is yes, because. This is our yes, because. There's a theme happening here. We are in positions where we can make shifts happen. Collectively, look at the power that is here collectively. If we collectively go and say, these are some of the things that we suggest, help us do that. I think we can make it happen. My whole thing is there's no shame in my game. I will beg. And we all know that's why you're all here. I beg well.
All right. And Ronnie.
Yes. Well, my biggest takeaway is that we're being recognized. The officiating, and Larissa, your presentation was off the chain. It's exactly because I was a part of positive coaching and understanding that what I was doing back in 2000 and trying to educate parents, because that's where it starts, educating the parents of these athletes and then educating the coaches of these athletes and educating them where they're putting positive input into these athletes coming up. That helps them to evolve not only as an athlete, but maybe onto a coach, onto an official. That was my path, athlete, coach, official. And listening to Sue's story and how she persevered through all this and how she had such great mentors. And that's what Yvette, Loretta, and I are into, mentoring and bringing these young women up to do these things, whether we meet them on the basketball court or we meet them as coaches. I mean, I refereed a playoff game the other day where there was a young lady that was coaching the team, but I had refed her in high school, I refed her in college, and now she's coaching a high school team and she took her team to the playoffs. It made my heart so proud because I saw this young lady grow and stay involved and stay engaged. And Larissa, your program to do that just helps so immensely. So yes, that's my takeaway, is to keep these women and girls involved and want to go further and get off those phones. We didn't have that, so we were always playing.
I was kicked outside. My parents be like, here's your snowsuits, bye, come back at dinner.
Right. Well, we didn't have snowsuits, but my mother would be like, go outside.
Oh, we have the snowsuits.
You know, if you get hungry, there's snacks on the table. You know?
There you go. There you
go.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Ronnie. Thank you. Larissa, your takeaway. I know you came in halfway. You didn't, I don't know that you heard it.
No, but it was right. I think when I do these things, I find that we generate a sense of energy. And I like to see that I can feel it, that there is a thread of serious change here that we can make. And we're all in positions that can make these things happen. And whether it's through education, like for instance, I can't wait to work with young athletes every day. I don't feel like this is a job. I feel it's like a love. I feel it's almost like a calling. It's weird. But I think that all of you feel the same thing. So I think that's nice to find other like-minded women. I think that's my personal takeaway today. It makes me feel good because there's no one here in Canada doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. All right, Lou, how about you?
What can I say? It's an honor to be here. It truly is, and I'm so happy to meet all of you. My takeaway, Sue, first of all, wow, just inspiring. Ronnie, I know we've met through audio before. I'm lucky enough to be part of WCPSCN, and again, you know, I wouldn't say heroes. I think you're really inspirational. You are all of you are role models for young girls out there and young women. I think my takeaway is, you know, from my perspective, leading the GSP, so the global sustainability partnerships, I see the synergy there with all of you. You're all, like I said, role models for young people, highlighting, you know, the importance of mental health, of education, mental health being obviously part of the UN sustainability goals, which aligns with what I'm working with as part of WCPSCN. And I think to quote a great lady that I met approximately about a year ago, it seems to me that all of you, as Larissa mentioned, you know, it's not a job, it's your not-nots. And I'm quoting a great lady that's part of this call. Unfortunately, her name is not visible, but yeah, it's all about your not-nots. And obviously, today's audience is clearly present in this conversation to share their not-nots with us. And it would be my honor to invite you all to the upcoming GSPs and even to have you on as guest speakers. It would truly be my honor. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, we're going to go around. Sue. Yes.
Yes. What a fantastic event. This was really neat to hear everyone. And I think, sort of echoing what Larissa said, there's this interconnectedness. Like no one's our paradigms, I guess, all just mingle and mix. And I was kind of struck listening, Larissa, talking about referees leaving. That's certainly a recruiting and then them leaving, and the connection of that to we're so much in a more unfiltered society. And I think that the cell phone's right, because it used to be I might think about saying something, but I might have a filter that keeps me, and now it's all this immediate, and I don't even have to look you in the eye to say something mean. I can just, and then it carries on to the in the gyms, and I wonder if your work in with kids, back when seatbelts, do you remember when seatbelts became a thing, and parents, the adults didn't want to do it, and the kids would get taught this in school, and the first thing a kid would do when they get in the car is tell their mom and dad to buckle up their seatbelt, and they'd reluctantly do it. So maybe the work you're doing is with the younger folks, will become the teachers of the parents' generation. But I'm just where I'm at with the WNBA, I'm getting referees that have really gotten a lot of training and background before I get to them. And the ones that are really coming up in our pipeline and at the grassroots level, we have folks on our scouting team, and we have folks in our working with our pipeline in the junior NBA group. And they're really doing a lot of good grassroots work, like how to conduct yourself professionally in a meeting. You put your phone down, all those little things, and how to be a professional. And these kids are 20 to 25 years old trying to break in. So I'm just struck by the interconnectedness by all of our stories and the work that we're doing and how it impacts.
Right. And as Loretta said, it's a takeoff to what can come next. Right? Yeah. What we can do.
I just want to say, and next meeting is.
There you go. You're on, Loretta.
Next meeting is when you listen. Within 30 days, you're going to get a text from me or an email saying, okay, what day, what time works for you? Okay. Just that quick.
All right.
Just that quick.
And I'm going to go real quick because I know I want to honor everybody's time and we're running out of time, but I do want to hear, Millie, your takeaway. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, okay. Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for sharing your story and everything. It's really amazing. I apologize. I don't have much word to say, but a takeaway, it's the interconnectedness. As you said, it's like the cohesion, the fact that the intergenerational discussion actually that is needed in order to give a legacy, a positive one, a good one, something that can make thrive girls, boys, next generation. You're all working on it. That's just amazing. And that's basically it actually. And it's about mentoring. And because now I'm newly appointed as a Jazzy J's president for the intergenerational business discussion towards gender equity, you're all welcome to participate, actually, because I think it's also linked to this. It's how the transmission, the legacy, the mentoring, and everything around. So thanks again for
thank you for being with us. All right.
Thank you.
So we have 2 minutes left.
Can we get a photo? Do you guys want to do a photo?
Sure. Who?
I can do it. I learned. My daughter taught me.
Okay. I actually know how to.
Wait, can we get it so that all the Zooms show? I don't know if I can do that, or Loretta may be able to do that, where you get everybody's.
Louis, put everybody in, please.
Yeah, I think everyone is in as far as I can tell.
I think everybody's in.
No, show the view.
So
Oh, I don't know how to do that.
it's gallery view, so everyone is visible.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Ready? Hang on one sec. Maybe everybody can do that. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Hang on. Maybe my daughter didn't succeed.
Okay. I do know how to do it too.
All right. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. There you go.
Oh, there's that screenshot. Super.
There you go. It worked. She's gonna be
Okay.
so proud.
Eve and Kristen and Sean, we haven't heard from you. Maybe you could put in the chat your takeaway. If you would, that would be awesome. And then is there Emily here?
Yep, that was Millie you just spoke with.
Oh, awesome. All right. So I think Millie, yes, Emily. Awesome.
Yep, that is Emily. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. And if Sean and Eve, you'd like to put something in the chat, that would be great because we can't see you. So I'm going to let you say the last word, Loretta. Thank you all for being here.
Again, thank you so very much for being with us today. This is an annual event. Last year, we talked about COVID and how it addressed the young people in high school and colleges coming back from that crisis, which was a critical dialogue. This, again, is a critical dialogue, and you will be hearing from me so we can get together and what's next. We need a what's next practice. This is a powerful conversation, and I'm excited about its moving forward. So Eve said that she lost a voice. That's why she didn't speak. Well, thank you, darling, for being with us. We know that you will want to continue the discourse. Sean says, thank you for the presentation. He enjoyed the topic. Thank you so much, Sean, for being with us.
Lastly, Yvette has her hand up.
I'm sorry, Yvette. I'm sorry.
Yvette for a takeaway.
Oh yeah, real quickly. This is super awesome, and thank you to all of you who are pushing the support of women and women athletes. I give a little presentation to high school girls annually called "Know Your Value," and I think you all have already had that presentation because you bring so much value to the game and to the profession. And Sue, I actually have a couple of women I've worked with going through the grassroots program, and the first thing I do is teach them about professionalism and how to know your value and not sell yourself short and how to present. So thank you for, as I'm listening to you, I'm going, oh, I've been doing this already, so I guess I'm on the right track. So this has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, and Lewis suggested that we can all put our LinkedIn profile here. And if you want to save the chat, you just push those 3 little buttons at the end and you can save it. So there you go.
Excellent.
Yeah, because I'd like to know how to meet people off of here, because there's some really amazing people. So
absolutely. So
yes, Larissa, I would love to talk with you.
So if everyone will give me permission, I'll make sure that when I send my little thank you notice and follow up, that I have everyone's information that is listed. Again, you'll be hearing from me from within the next 30 days for let's get together. Let's chop this up. You know, I love Zoom because I look cute from the top, but I'm not going to tell you what I got on the bottom. We're going to let that slide. So I'm definitely going to stay in the Zoom lane.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Yvette for coming in last minute to join the discussion, because I really value her input, and we work very well together in what we are doing in the South Bay unit of basketball for California.
And
thank you.
I'm in the East Bay, so we're going to have to get together.
Yeah, you guys got to connect.
I started in the East Bay in San Francisco officiating, Tina. So yes, we definitely will have to.
All righty, you guys.
So Sue and Larisha and Tina and Ronnie and Yvette and Louie and Millie and all of our guests. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very much. You will be hearing
Thank
from
you,
us.
Louie.
Please go to our website. This is something that is so dear to my heart. I'll be on the other side and I'll still be giving orders back on this side of the river. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We look forward to seeing you on March 25th when we talk about intergenerational discussions. This is the first time in American history we've had 5 generations working in the workforce. Well, that's a challenge. And we know we're feeling it even in sports. So anyway.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so very much. Be
Bye now.
blessed.
Bye.